Durch die Nacht und meine Seele dehnt sich weit und So in addition to freelance singing all over New York and sometimes out of town as well, I also love to teach. And a nice lady called me, that would be Rita, I said, yes, I do house calls, and so I came to her apartment, where we are now, and we had a great lesson, and then Rita asked me if I had ever heard of
Robert Franz.
Rita then pulls out this amazing book, which, as you can see, has been sung through a few times. Oops. 40 years?
At least.
Yes. So I had never heard of Robert Franz. I've heard of who are the obvious suspects: Robert Schumann, Franz Schubert, but never heard of Robert Franz, and he lived in the same day as Schumann. So we ran through 6 of the songs, and after each one we just both marveled at how beautiful they are, and thought, why doesn't anyone know who Robert Franz is? It's kind of ridiculous, because he's written, well, he actually has written 250 songs. This is just 50 of them, and there's some more that I'm actually gathering that we're going to add to the collection. And we're going to record basically Robert Franz's greatest hits. Und der Regen niederbricht, und die lauten Winde klagen, Teich, wo ist dein Sternenlicht? So, Rita, how did this even come into your hands?
Well, that started way back in the 1960s when I was inveigled into becoming a teacher in the Hicksville School District. Mm-hmm. And the music director at the time was a woman named Harriet Spink. I was very much taken by her knowledge of music, and I ended up studying with her, and during those studies she introduced me to Robert Franz.
And gave you this book.
And gifted me with that book.
Amazing. So again, these songs, so obviously beautiful, and the pervading question, why on earth does nobody know who this guy was? Well, there are some obvious reasons. He was buddies with Liszt, the great pianist, Mendelssohn, and he also knew Robert Schumann, who actually published his first set of songs, which he submitted songs to Robert Schumann, the famous art song composer. And here's the thing, those guys wrote symphonies, they wrote operas, you know, depending on it, but it seemed like grand scale in the 19th century was the way to go. Robert Franz only wrote songs.
They also had a lot of backing. Robert Franz didn't.
That's true. Someone once joked recently that Robert Franz just didn't have a good publicist. So that's a possibility, that he simply was eclipsed by the larger composers. Another possibility is that the songs are very short. There's not, maybe one of the songs goes like almost 2 minutes. Most of them clock in at about a minute. So they're like 2 pages, but, and so what I like to see them as is miniatures.
There's another reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing spectacular about his life. He was a plain, ordinary person. He didn't have any great emotional outcomes. He didn't have any love affairs. And there's nothing you can say about him. He was just an ordinary guy.
Except an ordinary guy who wrote these miniature,
exceptional
songs, like handcrafted meticulously, with great poetry. He did it so succinctly that the songs ended up short, but that does not take away from the beauty of them, and each one has its own personality. It's quite amazing. So to wrap it up, I just want to let you know that your contribution will go to recording fees so that we can get a really decent recording of this. Then there'll be CD duplication fees. We'll be paying someone to provide some really clean American English translations of 19th century German, which has a lot of fancy metaphors and things like that. We'll also have someone to do liner notes for the CD, and then we'll also be doing 4 recitals between now and July, both on the East and the West Coast. So this will also cover the fees associated with producing the recitals. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the other end. Läuten kaum die Maien Glocken leise durch die
lauen Wind, hebt ein Knabe froh erschrocken aus dem Grase sich geschwind, schürtet in den Blütenflocken seine feinen blonden Locken, schnell stillet wie ein Kind. Und nun wehen Lerchen hier, und es schreit die Nachtigall, von den Bergen rauschend wieder kommt der kühle Wasserfall. Ring sind alle und Gefieder, Frühling, Frühling ist es wieder und ein Jauchzen überall. Und die Knaben hört man schwirren, goldene Fäden zart und lind, durch die Lüfte künstlich viren und ein süßer Krieg beginnt. Suchen wie entschmachten Irren, bis sich alle